What's going on, guys? How you guys doing today? It's your boy Tavon Johnson, and I have a special guest with me today. His name is Robert Mckay. Also goes by Dream Chaser. What's going on, man? How you feeling today?
Feeling good.
Good. So I appreciate you taking the time to, really come down, sit with me, talk. I don't know if you know too much about Authentic Talks with Tay, but on this podcast, basically what I try to do is highlight not just artists, people, and things that, again, I feel as though people should know and talk about. So the reason why I have you here today and the reason why I asked you to, come onto the show is because your story is very, very inspiring. I met you at the Choose Joy event, and when I went, I don't have any expectations on anything when it comes to performing. I know you probably see me off in the wind to myself, getting myself prepared. I was, doing my lines, making sure I could make everything as possible, as clear as possible, because I had just written a lot of those songs. Yeah, so I was performing them for the first time, literally in front of everybody. Meeting you there, of course you were already there helping set up, and, to be able to sit and chat with you, you really had a lot going on. And we'll definitely get into that later on in the conversation. But real quick, I'll let you talk and tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
All right, so I'm basically from New York. I'm a butcher. I'm actually a butcher full-time in ShopRite.
Wait, hold on. You said you're a butcher?
I'm a butcher in ShopRite.
Oh, so, man, I never knew that.
Yeah, so that basically pays for my music stuff.
Right,
but I've been a butcher for 14 years.
How did you get into that field?
It just kind of fell into my lap because it's so weird. I have an associate's degree in business from a local college.
Okay.
And my last year there, I was sending out resumes because I started in Pathmark. So Pathmark was right next door to Staples. So, it was when Newsday had all the ads for jobs.
Right.
So on my break, I used to go next door and print that and fax, I don't know how many resumes.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't getting responses because I only had associates.
Right. Okay.
So it just happened that Pathmark was they weren't cutting fresh pork, lamb, and veal.
Okay.
So because they were going back to that, they started up the apprentice program.
Okay.
And because I wasn't getting hits back from my resume, and I was already in Pathmark, they asked me if I wanted to do it.
Right.
So it got me full time.
Hey, shoot, you gotta take those opportunities when you get the opportunity.
And when I started Pathmark was just a fallback job because I needed money.
Mm-hmm.
And I applied for Pathmark closer to my house.
Mm-hmm.
And a different Pathmark called me. And the store manager's like, we're calling because the store that you applied to didn't have any openings.
Right.
So he's like, do you want to come down for an interview? So I said, yeah, okay. So, I put grocery originally.
Okay.
And he's
and
like,
got the better job.
yeah. So basically, and he's like, I don't have anything for grocery. So anything else you want to do? So I said, I don't know. My uncle was a butcher. But I said, I don't know, meat department. So he picked up the phone and he calls back the manager, Larry was his name. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Larry, have a kid here looking for a job. You have an opening? So he said, yeah. So he hung up the phone. He told me, all right, come down at 7 a.m. on Monday.
Right. Hey, I mean, shoot, congratulations. And you stuck in, up until that time. Like, when you first started working there, did that...
I was only a meat wrapper. So when I started there, when I started there, I was a cleanup guy. Mm-hmm. And the cleanup guy got fired. I started as a cleanup guy. I'm on a part-time meat wrappers quit.
Right.
So at the time, there was no restrictions with schedules and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was the managers used to handwrite the schedule. And whatever he wrote, that's what we followed.
Right.
So because they were down a meat wrapper, they put me on full time.
Right.
So technically I was part-time, I was getting full-time hours.
Hey.
So I was working 9 to whatever it was, I don't remember. And then I was working Sundays too.
Okay.
So I was working 6 days a week. And then the apprentice part started, I want to say a year. I don't know if it was a year.
So like, did it ever creep you or gross you out that you were like killing animals?
Not really.
Chopping them up and everything?
Nah.
Okay. So, getting into some of the topics that I wanted to talk about, I got 3 different topics, of course.
Yeah.
The first topic is AI. How do you think AI is affecting us as a people, and how do you think it impacts the music game?
I don't know too much with AI. I've seen it with Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
When you write a post and then it has the different options.
Yeah.
I've used it once or twice, but
I mean, but if you think about it, like life, our whole entire life now, like in 2024, this whole digital age of the world is switching to AI.
Yeah.
AI is basically, you might as well say, running us now.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
and we use it, of course, my personal opinion, I feel like AI is a good thing and a bad thing. I feel like anything can be good and bad depending on how you use it.
I was gonna say how you use it, yeah.
Yeah, and I had seen some videos with Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, things like that, talking about AI to certain degrees, and it's like, when you think about the actual capabilities of AI, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I've seen interviews with that too. Yeah, it's kind of scary where they're going with it.
Yeah, because it's like, that most of the stuff is supposed to be, of course, things to help us out, things to help us be able to, make life easier or whatever. But then when you look at the nefarious things that they're using AI for, it's
that's what I said. There's no restrictions on it.
Nah.
Right? The government's not stepping in on it.
I mean, technically the government, depending on what and how. Government is definitely trying to regulate AI. But
I know that's a big push for it.
Yeah, it's definitely a big push for it. Diddy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Diddy. Damn that boy.
I saw it on Instagram. I saw it. I was like, wow, he's done. Especially all the charges and.
It's some crazy stuff.
And look at all the people involved. Instagram.
The whole industry is about to get hit.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the question that I had on that was like, now, of course, one person does not make the music industry, but like in terms of the things that have been coming out about the music industry, dealing with not just Diddy, but you have a lot of other cases of people that are getting caught up doing stuff or have done stuff in the past, and it's like, how do you think that that's gonna change the way that the new artists that may have just now learned about this or maybe learning about everything, like, do you think they'll want to be a part of that music industry?
I think they will. I think they'll just be more cautious. Hopefully they'll be more cautious. I don't know if they will, but
I think they would end up just like having the same tricks, because it's like the new artists think that they're going to be able to do something different.
Right.
But the old plays are still being played that were like in the 70s and 80s. So it's like, I hope that artists to this day really, really wise up and really understand that you have more power being an independent artist. You have more power not signing over your rights, doing things on your own. It may take longer to do, but the reward for being an independent artist is so much greater, especially when you own everything yourself.
Right.
You know,
Well, it's like Taylor Swift did that because the record label didn't want to pay for the cut. I don't know the whole story, but I think they didn't want to pay for the rights or something like that. And that's when she went and she recorded all
of her stuff.
All of her stuff.
And that's how you gotta do it, man. Like if you're in those deals, of course, like I believe that there are a lot of good people who go in thinking that they understood what was going on and not understanding the real depth, the parameters of having the ability to have that fame and fortune. And it's like, what are you willing to do for it?
Right.
Like, what are you really willing to do for this deal?
Yeah.
And there are some things that people just are willing to do.
Right. Some of them are willing to go that far with it.
Yeah, and it's like after you do that, it's like people get buyer's remorse. It's like they do what they do, and then it's like, oh man, I really didn't want to do that. Or, I didn't know that doing that would have came with this. Well, did you think about everything?
No.
Yeah.
Even like the old groups that like you watch like behind the music and people that used to old bands that used to sign contracts that screwed on the royalties.
And it's all politics at the end of the day. It's all music business. People think that making music is just about I go in the studio, I write this, put it out. Bam, I'm gonna get famous overnight. No, it's a lot of politicking that you have to do. Yeah. It's a lot of administrative work that you have to do. And that's what we were talking about when we were coming in. You know, as an artist, you really, really, really have to work.
Yeah.
Everything that you do is work. I see, you know, you've got your merch. You listened to me. Yeah. You found the way. You contacted who you needed to contact it, and you had your merch ready to go when we had the performance.
Yeah.
Very, very, very
the only
impressive.
problem was that it was raining.
Yeah, and you were still out there in the rain with no coat and still making it happen. You looked like you was about to turn blue, but you was like, hey,
I was freezing my ass.
I'm gonna get this thing done, and I definitely respect that as an artist.
And luckily I had sweatpants in the car.
Yeah,
that I used for
because it did get cold. Yeah. I had the leather jacket all night.
And then I asked Teresa, I said, do you have a jacket? And someone gave me a jacket. And then I was fine.
Real quick as well, you said her name. Shout out to Teresa. Teresa is one of the founders of the Choose Joy Foundation that, helps people that are in fires, crises, and things like that. She and her team have done a lot of work for the community. So I wanted to give you, your praise, Teresa and the Choose Joy Foundation and crew for being an amazing help in Delaware, because we don't think about the little things that people do until we actually need them. And sometimes a lot of good deeds go unnoticed. Yeah. I feel like the news itself, if it were to perpetuate good things, the world would view the world a different way. Yeah, but we gotta love propaganda, and we gotta love the way that they do what they do.
And I wound up camping out afterwards.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, to Teresa. I told her before, I said, I'm just gonna stay at the hotel I stayed at.
Right.
Because I came down the night before.
Right.
So I said, I'm just gonna stay at the hotel.
Now you came down the night before, and you had interviews and stuff that you just came from before you got there, right?
Yeah. So the deal was Monday morning. When I go to North Carolina, I usually leave at 4.
Right.
Because I just hate the traffic with Washington.
Understood.
And I still want to get caught up in it. I've been to North Carolina, I want to say 12 times. I'm probably wrong about that. But most of the time I hit some kind of snag.
Right. Some type of way.
Right around Washington too. One time I got to Virginia, the beginning part, and there's a trailer fire, like a lawn care.
Yeah.
But it backed it up it sent me back like an hour. It was during, I remember it was during the summer because I had my AC running.
Right.
I'm like, this is gonna kill my gas because it was like backed up. And
you just sitting there
I'm
in
just
traffic,
sitting
like,
there
burning.
with the AC running, so now watching my gas go out the window. I'm like, man.
Literally, gas going out the window.
But yeah, so I always leave at 4, and I usually get down there 6, 7, and then so I went down that Monday. Tuesday night I did an open mic. Wednesday night I did an open mic. And Thursday I shot off to Delaware.
So this is what I'm saying to those who are listening right now. To be an artist is not just to say, I am an artist. You have to put in the work. You have to really take the time to make the effort. This man has driven from New York down to North Carolina, and I've seen videos of you going other places, doing videos, going to festivals, and you are putting in the work. And again, that is why I have you here on this show, because you know it is an amazing thing to see, especially when you have problems.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because me as an artist myself, I have been through homelessness. I have slept on many sidewalks. I have been in the muck of the mud. And a lot of that was either chosen by myself because I didn't want to be put in compromising situations, or I didn't want to compromise my own integrity trying to be somewhere that I knew I wasn't welcome to be. So I would rather sit outside and figure it out myself than to be, you know, around people who I know don't really want me around.
Yeah.
So even in all of those moments, you know, those crying nights, those nights where I was sleeping at the bus station, I was writing.
Right.
I was creating videos throughout all of this, and you can see them on my Instagram. I mean, I'm wearing a smile on my face, but I'm hurting.
Right.
And most of the time when I would create my music was when I was hurting. And I created some of the best music being depressed and going through it. That doesn't mean I want to be depressed now, but that was my outlet in getting out my anger, my rage, sadness, you know, whatever I was going through at that moment. It gave me the power to keep going, having music as my therapy. Yeah, for sure. Now, a little bit about the shirts real quick before we go into the last question and then getting into the meat of what I wanted to get into. How did you come up with the idea of your merch? You go by Dream Chaser.
Right. So I'm 43, so when I got into music, it was right around when hair metal hit MTV.
Okay.
And, you know, and then like 90, 91 was when Metallica hit with, well, they were already big, but that's when the Black Album hit. So, you know, you had Hot Topic in the mall, and you had the t-shirts.
Right. So
me and my brother always, and my brother had a lot more than I did, but, you know, that's where we used to get the shirts from.
Right.
So it kind of came off that idea that, all right, if I was going to sell shirts, I wanted to be old school.
Right.
You know, I wanted the same idea that skulls and, you know, because, you know, I play rock, so, you know, I wanted to kind of go with the whole Metallica type.
Right.
Theme, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And even my aunt's like, why do they both have skulls? I said, well, it's rock music. Like, I'm not gonna put, you know, happy faces like this rock music.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying. So,
but yeah, I mean, it's just a homage to, you know, all the rock. Classic.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Respect. The last question that, you know, I wanted to go into before we got deeper into your story was mental health and wellness, you know, men's mental health, because I feel like that is an important thing as well. Like, how do you how do you take care of your mental health every day? Like, what is life like for you as a man, and how do you deal with the responsibilities of what you have to do in life, and even with all the things that you have gone through?
Right.
Like, how do you deal with that level of mental health when you were going through the sickness and everything? And you can touch upon that just a little bit in terms of like what actually was going on.
I think it's just patience, you know. I always hear from people it takes a lot to rattle me, and you know I've heard this shit with the thyroid cancer and stuff like that. So I've always thought of myself to be pretty calm, level-headed. I was never one to really blow up.
Right.
You know, I was never that type of person. So I think it's just a matter of keeping it
cool.
Yeah. And my mom, you know, like, my mom would tell me all the time, you know, just don't worry about it, it'll be fine. You know, like when I got laid off from Pasma, you know, she told me every day, don't worry, it'll work out, it'll be fine.
Right.
So, you know, I think it's just along that
So,
line.
you said you had recent surgery not too long ago, right?
Yeah, August 18th I had it.
And even after getting out of surgery, you're back to the music.
Yeah, so it was a Friday. I was out of work a week because I couldn't do heavy lifting.
Right.
So it was a Friday, it was outpatient. But when I was home recovering, it just felt like a bad stiff neck.
Right.
So, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I slept a lot. Tuesday, the stiffness went away a little, and then by Tuesday, it was gone.
Right.
So Tuesday, I actually did guitar lessons. Because I normally
Straight to it.
Yeah, because Tuesdays I normally do guitar lessons.
Right.
I take guitar lessons.
Right.
So Tuesday I felt better, so I did lessons Tuesday. And I didn't skip a beat with that.
So how was for you? This is for people who are listening right now that are probably wondering, like as an artist, for you, how do you deal with when things are going bad? And outside of like, what I mean by that is when you don't have the money to do things, or when you realize that you need equipment or whatever, like how do you handle the mind state that you have to keep going?
Well, I think you just kind of use what you have. Yeah, like that.
I like that.
You know, like guitar amps, Marshall's the best.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty tough. They are top of the line. And a lot of guitar players, you know, Slash uses them exactly, right. So, but I mean, they're a lot of money.
This music game is very expensive.
Very expensive. So, like I got one. I got a Catalyst. I got a Line 6 Catalyst.
Right.
So, and it's a 200 watt amp, which I bought at the festival. So it has a nice little weight.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of using what you have. But you still learn stuff.
Yeah.
It's not that, like I could still go out and play Slash just because I don't have a Marshall.
Understood. So, if you could give some advice to the listeners listening and to the watchers watching, for any artist out there who is trying to either get their feet wet in the game, or even if they are in the game and they just want to be better, like what would be some things that you could tell them that would help them,
Practice.
Practice makes perfect.
Practice, I would say, is the number one thing. Especially with something like guitar. When I remember one time a guitar teacher told me, and I remember hearing it too, you never stop learning with guitar. Because like I was saying on a way with scales, there's so many different scales and different stuff like that.
That's what I need to do, music theory.
So, you know, you can always better yourself with it, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah, they say that you're only as good as the way that you practice.
Yeah.
In a lot of situations, not just in music.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing is, my guitar, we were learning, I think it was Metallica, or Metallica or Slash, I forgot. And, you know, he said, you're not going to play it the same way that he plays it because everyone's hands are different.
Right.
So the way Slash plays a solo isn't going to sound exactly to how you play it because it's different hand sizes and you know, you're going to have different sounds.
Nah, you right, definitely.
So, and I remember him telling me that. Yeah, he told me a few times, you know, it's not going to sound, you want it to sound the same way, but, you know, some things you're not going to get spot on because maybe your hands are bigger than his or, you know.
Now, you wrote a book.
Yeah, I just got approved for Friday, she called me.
Now, did it cost you to send the book off and all of that?
It didn't cost me to send it. It cost me to publish it.
Okay.
So
now, first and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
Like, that's a big thing. I'm also an author as well. I published a children's book called The Lion Who Was Afraid to Roar. And it was basically, it's a children's book that talks about bravery. And I'm working on a series that basically goes through the principles and virtues for kids to teach them, you know, the perspectives of these virtues. But in terms of your book, like, what is the book about? How did you come up with the book? I remember you sending me the pages of all the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't read it, but, you know, I got the somewhat of a gist of, like, it's an autobiography.
Yeah. So basically, I've heard so much this year from my sister-in-law and my uncle and my brother.
Right.
You know, just my story and inspiration.
Yeah.
I've heard inspiration so much this year from people.
Because you are. It is an inspiring story.
And it's a weird thing because you kind of brush it off like when you first
thanks, you know, it's just nothing.
Yeah, and then when I found I needed the surgery, I didn't grab the book necessarily to be like, okay, I want to write a book. I just grabbed it just to grab it.
Now, were you like, was it all like in one day? How long did it take you to write the book? And you said it was like, what, 60, 70 pages? 60
pages. I started writing it while I was recovering from the surgery, actually.
So this was all within that time in August?
Yeah.
Impressive.
I started it that Tuesday, because I was home the whole week, so I didn't have to worry about going to bed or, you know, at a decent time or whatever.
Understood.
So I remember it was that Tuesday. It was like 2 o'clock, and normally I go to bed at 2 o'clock.
Right.
So really, I should go to bed early, but
2 o'clock, like 2 p.m.
2 a.m.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about me every night too. 2, 3 o'clock.
So I grabbed the book and I was like, alright, if I would write a story, how would it go? So I just kind of jotted stuff, kind of like from the beginning, how I got into music, how we, lessons, and I just started right from the beginning.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your story on here?
Yeah.
So, like, what happened? Let's start from the beginning.
All right. Well, I always start with this story because this is basically how I got into music.
Cool.
I got into music basically, like I said before, right when hair music hit on TV. So you had bands like Poison, Slaughter, all of them. And they used to show Guns N' Roses at the Ritz, Knocking on Heaven's Door. And I remember watching that video, and I remember seeing Slash and being totally amazed by
what he did. Yeah, that band.
And I remember, and I was in seventh grade at the time.
I wasn't even born yet.
So I'm like, you know, I remember thinking, wow, this is really cool. I'm gonna try this. So my uncle had his acoustic, because we lived at my grandma's house. So my uncle, you know, he already moved out, but he left his acoustic behind.
Right.
So I asked my mom, I said, Mom, can I use the guitar for lessons?
Right.
So she's like, well, you gotta ask your uncle because it's his. So my uncle used to come over on Sundays for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So one day he came over, one Sunday, he asked me, Uncle Joe, can I use your guitar for lessons? So he says, yeah, go ahead. So I ran upstairs because my mom was upstairs.
Right.
And I remember I ran upstairs, I startled her because I said, Mom, can I use the guitar for guitar lessons? Uncle Joe said, yeah. So because I'm pretty sure I startled her, she was turned around and she's like, yeah, okay. So then I started with lessons, and I took lessons from right up until right before I started my senior year in high school. But I had the same teacher the whole time.
Right.
And I wound up stopping because he wound up leaving, and then the place closed down a little bit after that.
Right.
But I had him for the whole
process.
the whole 4 years.
Okay.
And so I used my uncle's acoustic for like the first year, and then my mom got me my Fender, which I still use. In fact, I used it at the festival. And I still use it. I haven't changed anything on it. The only thing I changed on it was the guitar strings. But as far as pickups and, you know, the fancy stuff is all original. It's all original, you know.
Oh, wow.
Original pickups, original knobs.
You definitely had to take care. You had to have taken care of that.
So, and I still use it today. You know, like I said, I used it at that. I've used it at open mics.
Respect.
Yeah, it depends what I'm playing. You know, like because I had that one. I perform one. So it depends what I'm playing. You know, obviously different music, different sounds.
So my question for you now is like, where are you now? What are you doing? And like, what does the future hold for Dream Chaser now?
I think just to keep getting out there. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I probably won't do much the rest of this year. You know, maybe spotty stuff here and there.
Right.
Yeah, if there's open mics around. But I'll probably stay local until.
Now, is there an album or anything, singles that we can potentially look forward to in the future?
Yeah, that's definitely something.
Dope. Hopefully we'll get something together too.
Yeah, definitely. That's been on my radar this year, and that's just, you know, fun.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. I definitely understand.
Yeah, and I've reached out to different studios, and I've sent them stuff. They all like it. It's just a matter of coming up with the funding.
Yeah, because I'm sure, you know, studio work ain't cheap.
No.
And this is what we be saying, like, as an artist, you have to come out of pocket for these things. If you sign to a record label, they may take care of all of that for you, but best believe that's coming out of your pocket at the end, or when it's time to actually get paid. You paying all that back up front. It's a loan. That's what these record deal labels.
Yeah, like I spoke to a record label in Nashville, and she was like, you know, you cover your own studio time.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It's really like that, because it's like, if you can, then if they fit the bill, you gotta pay them. If you got a manager, you gotta pay the manager.
Right.
And you gotta pay the people that you produced and who produced and engineered the song. So it's like, if you only have 20% out of 100%, because the label takes 80, or vice versa. You know, if you get more than 20%, you have to pay everybody out of that 20%, which only leaves you maybe 3 to 4%. No. You got to pay your manager 15% off rent.
Right.
So it's like 15%. That means you only got 5% left, and if you gotta pay everybody else,
I got nothing.
you ain't got jack.
Yeah, I know someone from one studio told me that it's different than it was in the past.
Yes. Now
He said that's right. He said in the past, it used to be the label used to front you with the recording. He said now it's totally different. Now it's all on the artist.
Yeah, because it's like, it is a lot, and they want to see. I feel like now they just want to see numbers.
Yeah.
They want to see that you can bring a crowd. They want to see that you can work a crowd. They want to see that you can be able to do what you need to do as an artist, because the label is not paying you to just be mediocre.
I've heard that.
The label is paying you to bring in crowd and make money. That's how they make money as a label.
Yeah, I've heard labels say that they won't sign you unless you have X amount of followers.
Yeah, shout out to Entourage, which was my management company for a bit. Austin Beckhill, gotta give you a shout out. He did sit me in front of Atlantic Records, and Atlantic pretty much was like, yeah, we're looking for X amount of views, we're looking for X amount of monthly listeners, we're looking for these things, and it's like, I get it.
Right.
But in reality, me as an independent artist, if I'm getting those numbers by myself, then why am I coming to you trying to get a deal?
Yeah.
If I'm pulling those numbers, all you really want from me is influence.
Right.
I can do that myself.
So it's like when the hair metal bands used to do the flyers on Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
Now, I remember seeing a documentary on Poison, and when they first started, before they got signed, they used to go up and down.
Bro, you gotta have your own
flyers.
street team. You gotta have your own street team, your own, team that's gonna really push your stuff. That's really all you need. That's what makes the label. Of course, with funding and all of that other stuff, but there are ways to get funding. There really are ways to get funding. Where can everybody find you at?
I am on Facebook, DreamChaser24. I had to add the 24th, apparently Dream Chaser is too common.
It is.
I remember telling someone, and they're like, I can't find you. So he's like, you should just add a number or something at the end.
Right.
So I added 24, and I was like, oh yeah. So I did that.
No, is that just on Facebook?
Yeah, that's Facebook. And I'm on Instagram, Dream.Chaser24.
Okay.
That's kind of a mixed bag of my stuff, covered Metallica,
Right.
just a mix of everything, inspiration stuff.
Understood.
And the Instagram is weird because I started for the music, and I'll post inspiration stuff if I see something out, that's really cool. And like the inspiration stuff, it's just outpacing music stuff.
Facts, understood.
Like there's an interview, the guy asked Kobe about, he asked him, I wonder if you have Taylor Swift in your car. So he says, yeah, I actually listened to her, and then he went into, how impressive she is that she keeps such a high, hit after hit.
Right.
And how hard it is and stuff like that.
It really is hard.
And that one has like 1,700 plays on it. And so it's just crazy how you start from one thing and
Bro,
it's just totally opposite.
I definitely understand, and it's like you never know who's listening, who's watching, or any of that. And with social media and AI, like we were talking about earlier, definitely helps that process in the terms of music. I feel like, honestly, if it wasn't for AI or the internet, or having the ability to talk to people across the country in the comfort of your home, it definitely changed the game and how people were able to reach people. But I definitely appreciate you for coming on to the show. Again, this is Authentic Talks with Tay with Tavon Johnson, aka Black Ice. This segment has been brought to you by NRG TV, the multimedia plug, NRG Records LLC, and also sponsored by Peer Pressure Power Washing LLC as well. Thank you all again for tuning in. This is Rob Mckay, aka Dream Chaser, and Tavon, and we are signing out.